Good morning and welcome to the morning show with Angel and Tina. But Tina is not feeling well today, so you get me flying solo with our wonderful virtual studio guest today, Christina. Christina, thanks for hanging out with me today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here and I'm so excited to do this with you. Let's just get into it.
Let's absolutely. Well, for those of you who have been following Angel's house moving saga, Christina, I found this house on what was seemingly like a whim. Like we happened to be in Florida. I lived in Colorado, been in the same house for 21 years, and stopped at an open house on the way back to the airport to go home and fell in love with this house. And my husband and I, who are not spontaneous people, like we just thought that's not who we are, decided to go ahead and sell our house and come to Florida. And we were not expecting that house to still be on the market. Lots of other things had to happen, but we thought, whatever, we'll find something. And on Monday, just 2 days ago, we closed on this very same house that we had fell in love with back in September. And so yesterday, we had sold all of our furniture, put our stuff in pods. Our pods arrived yesterday morning. Within 2 hours, they were empty, and now we're like, finding room for all of our stuff and
That's so
and and moving ourselves
crazy.
in. It has been a very, very crazy journey, but here I am, my first morning broadcasting the Angel and Tina morning show. I am on my patio. I'm overlooking. I've got a swimming pool. I've never owned a swimming pool before. I have a pond. Well, it's a lake, and we had to discover the difference between a lake and a pond is depth. So
Yep.
even though it looks like a pond, it's deep. So it qualifies. These are things I've never known. I've never lived on water. I've never had all of this. So
Oh, I'm so
you
happy for
are
you.
my very first guest in my brand new home.
Oh, well, happy housewarming. I'm so happy that I can be here to christen your new home on your show. And I did get a little view of that pool and it looks very inviting.
Well, it's cold right now.
Yeah.
So we have not been in it. It needs to be heated, but I understand come summer, we will not need to be heating that thing. So we are just super excited. We're looking forward to it. So Christina, I don't know you. Our audience doesn't know you. So we're going to make sure they get a great chance to get to know you really well this morning. She grew up in a small town on the west coast of BC. Is that British
British
Columbia?
Columbia. Yeah, I'm up in
Right?
Canada.
You are? Oh my gosh. Like, look at this. How fabulous. We're international today. Experienced challenges after being bullied through her school years, overcame the effects of bullying through her youth. She developed a passion for empowering women, helping them find their voice. She was a successful hairstylist that owned and operated a salon and an on-site wedding business. She
Yeah.
yearned to make an even bigger impact in the hair industry. So I'm going to let you give us a little background. Like, tell us your story. Give us the journey.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a small town girl from the west coast of Canada. I grew up in a little mill town of 17,000 people. You can only get there by ferry, but it's on the mainland. So it's almost like an island, but it's not. You're just isolated. So I grew up there, like many parents with of our generation, my parents said, get good grades, go to university, get a well-paying job with a pension and healthcare. And I'm like, do those things even exist anymore? Like, is that a real thing? And so I wanted to make them proud. I wanted to do the right thing, and I went to university, and I hated it. I am not somebody that
Mm,
can sit in a classroom. I am a learn and do, learn and do, learn and do. And so sitting in the classroom was like
mhm.
torture. You understand because
Yes,
you get it, right?
yes.
And like it's like painful. And I didn't make very many friends in university because I fell asleep in every class. I just like really was so uninterested in being there, but felt that I had to. Like I'd earned scholarships. I didn't, and I was just like, this is just not for me. So I tried again and moved to Toronto, went to school for music because that was something I was passionate about. But when I was there, I just realized, hey, I don't eat, sleep, and breathe this. Like you have to as a musician, like you have to be willing to
Mm,
do it for free and work your way up. And I was like, I don't really want to be poor. Like I want to be able to travel around the world. I want to be able, and a female in that industry, it's really interesting because men it's different, but females, like I don't know if you know this, but if you ever take a look at Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, Celine Dion, like all of these like big artists, Lady Gaga, they all dated their producer. So like very candidly, I'm going to say as a female in that industry, you have to sleep your way to the top. And that was not something that I was willing to do. And it's not something that I wanted to be a part of. And I was just like, it's not worth it. I wanted to be a mom. Like, I really wanted to be a mom. And I was like, this lifestyle, it's for the birds. I don't really want to do that. So I ended up dropping out of university. I went to school for hair because I was like, well, if I become a hairstylist, I can work from home. I can, be flexible around my kids' schedule. Because again, I always wanted to have kids. And so I kind of went down that path, and I was a hairstylist for 11 years. I owned my own, like I said, salon and on-site wedding business. And so that means that I have a team of stylists that would go to different wedding venues and do hair and makeup for the bride so they wouldn't have to go to the salon. So it was so
fabulous.
It was so fun, like to contribute to people's lives, like to be there on the most special day and make a woman feel the most beautiful she's ever felt in her life. Like there's something about that that's magical. Mm-hmm. So I did that for many, many years and I loved it, but I started to realize that the cost of doing business in that industry was going up and up and up. I was making less money. I was trading dollars for hours. I didn't want to work 80 hours a week, but I was the commodity. People came to see me and they didn't want to see anybody else. So I realized very quickly that this was not something that was going to give me freedom of time or any leverage. And that's when I kind of started looking into online business. By the way, I had like rolled my eyes at it. I was like, there's no way. I'm an entrepreneur. There's no way people are making money doing that. That's ridiculous. Like I didn't understand. People kept asking me and I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. And I said no for many years. And then something really interesting happened. Late into my pregnancy, I had a really bad shoulder injury and I was unable to continue working. And it scared the crap out of me. It was something that I like.
Christina, yeah, my hairdresser, she's been doing hair for a million years. She's having shoulder issues.
Yeah.
And she's a solopreneur. She is. And we go to see her. She's in Colorado. And I told her, I will fly back to Colorado to get my haircut because it's worth a plane ticket versus a bad haircut. Like, just.
I had people doing that, flying from Toronto to BC to get their hair done.
Yeah. But her shoulder, she hasn't had surgery, but it is really starting to be an issue. And so very real, if you are trading time for dollars, you are the soul. You got to show up and you got to work your arms, right? And I mean,
it's physical. Like people don't get it. It's really physical.
Well, doing my own hair. And I'm like,
it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
I know. It's so funny when I moved. So when we moved, I lost my hairstylist that was an hour away. And so I trained my husband to paint my roots. And so I trained him to do it. And he did it and he's a very fit guy. And so he started doing it. He's like, my arms are tired. How do you do this all day? I'm just like, it's hard. And so many stylists have that repetitive motion injury. Yeah. And it's very, very common. What's more common in pregnancy is that the relaxin hormone comes in and it triggers all of those injuries and they get worse. And so I was like in excruciating pain. Like I literally could not lift my arm for a couple of months. And so it was scary. And so as your stylist knows, like I was going to the gym, I was going to massage, I was doing everything that I could, but that's a tough job on your body. And so I started realizing, okay, I've got to have a backup plan. I got to have something else that I do. And then my daughter was born. And when she was born, she didn't, this moment, I don't share this very often, but she didn't breathe for her first 5.5 minutes when she was born.
My baby too.
And so those moments define you. They change. I'm not going to get emotional, but they change who you are at your core. And all of a sudden I was like, this is the most like important thing to me on the entire planet because it could have been taken from me in any instant. You realize how precious life is, right? And so
Christina, how old is she now?
She's 4.5.
So we have a happy ending. Okay.
She's 4.5 now. Yes. Yeah. She's 4 and she's brilliant. She's so smart. She's sassy. I'm in so much trouble when she's a teenager. She takes after me. So yeah, she's lovely and everything is fine. But it just shifted my perspective. I've always been driven. I've always been a go-getter. And then I was like, no, wait a sec. I need to slow down. This needs to be my life. I didn't want to miss out on singing her to sleep at night or reading her stories. I didn't want to miss out on camping on the weekends or going to the beach. Like I was working every single weekend from April until October. I was doing 3 or 4 weddings a weekend. Didn't get them off. Like I was busy. And so I wasn't willing to do that anymore when I had my daughter. And so that's when everything shifted.
I used to work for the PGA, and we would put together an annual major golf tournament in Colorado. And I worked for them for 10 years, and I worked every summer. I mean, summers were
All summer.
all summer. And in that tournament, they decided to shut it down. And I remember the very first summer I had off, like it was amazing. I could go and play with my kids. Like we could have a summer vacation, and I didn't even realize at the time, like we never had that. We never even had that opportunity because I worked my hardest during the summer. Well, my son, we had some definite issues when he was born. And I just want you to know he is 23. I think he just turned 23. He is here with us in Florida. And I just went this morning and brought him a cup of hot chocolate to wake him up this morning. I mean, that you just, like these times, like they're always your babies, like they're always your, right? But there was something that we just feel like when we lost him, like something else fired and like kicked in, and he's just brilliant. Witty. Oh my gosh. He's smarter than I was at the age of 2. I remember having a conversation with him at 2 years old. He could reason with me. And I thought, I'm toast.
Yeah, that's it. We're done. She's already preemptively closing me on things that she wants. Like she's the best negotiator in our house. And I'm just like, how are you getting away with this?
Yes. Yeah, I remember because he's got 2 older sisters. He's got twin sisters who are 4 years older than him. And they would whine and I could like, forget that. You're not getting it. And he could get me to say yes to stuff. I'm like, dude, like you are too young to have this kind of skill, because it was skill, like it was absolute skill. And but he still is, and so we're pretty, like, I'm just so happy for you. And it's as a mom, right, we often feel though we have to make these choices. Be a fabulous career or a fabulous mom. You can't have both. Like that is very much drilled into the way the work schedule is. Everything. The society is, right? Everything, right? We cannot have, we are taught in general that we cannot have both. And yet there's this like little underground, little secret society of families that have discovered you can have both. And who is it? Marie Forleo. Everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
I remember when I was given an opportunity I was a radio broadcaster, Christina, for 10 years. And
I did my history. I looked in on you.
They invited us in because we were unknown, invited us in and they gave us the afternoon drive. Like that is in radio world, having the afternoon drive show. That's where you have the largest volume of listeners, is that home from work drive. And they said, this has got to be your spot because you're new, you're unheard of. We've got to build your audience. But at the time, my kids were in elementary school, all 3. And it meant I would not be home when they got home from school. And that was a pivotal time for them. They would come home and they'd have snacks and they'd be so chatty about everything that happened in the day. And then they'd go off and do their thing. But if you waited till dinner, you waited till bedtime to ask them about their day. And what'd you do today? Nothing. How was it? Fine. You know, what'd you do? Right? Like, right. And so that window, like I had this 30-minute window when they walked in the door that I wanted, that was so important for me to be there. If I took this afternoon spot, I'd never be there. It would just be done. Yeah. And so it was me, only woman at the table, my co-host, a man, right? All the men in radio, broadcasting to, gentleman's arena, or at least it was. And saying to them that, no, I want this 10 a.m. mid-morning spot, because it meant I could take my kids to school, drive to the studio, host the show, and then be home in the afternoon. And they all said to me, like, do you want this career or not? Like, you said you want it.
Isn't that crazy? Like, you have to decide between your kids' well-being and your career.
Yeah. And seriously, that was what was on the table. And like, I want to be a mom. Like, I will never get this time back. And Christina, I chose that 10 a.m. spot. And, they came back to us and said, you You need to build an audience. You need this drive time. So you come in the studio, host live. We will replay it for you every afternoon so that you get your drive time audience. And they replayed our show for 15 months so we could build up our name in the marketplace. And then it launched from there. And I will tell you, Christina, I tell women that story. Like, if it doesn't feel right and you think you don't have a choice, you have a choice.
Yes.
We always
Absolutely.
have a choice. It might not feel like it. Nobody else will be telling you. I have a Wonder Woman cup too. Coffee mug.
I know, right?
Yeah,
we kind of need those, right?
But it's hard. You kind of got to go against the grain. You kind of got to muscle up and say, what do I really want, and what am I really willing to do? Sometimes we have to make some sacrifices in order to get what I really want. So,
that's so awesome. Like, I'm so happy that you, honestly, so I don't know, you don't know this yet, but I was supposed to do a TED Talk on April 5th. And my TED Talk, the name of the talk is The Secret Superpowers of the Stay-at-Home Mom. And so this is what I'm ingraining into that talk, is that, hey, you can have it all. You can have a thriving career. You can have a stay-at-home family and consciously raise your kids. You can have your personal freedom to do whatever you want, and you can make a massive impact. Like, I literally am a hot mess mom. I work from home, but all of those things are incorporated in my life. And I want to empower other women to understand that they can do it too. So I love that story.
Well, and you gave me a statistic right before we went live about, working from home. And I mean, we've all made this adjustment.
Working.
We've all made this. Yeah. So tell me about, like, tell our audience that, because that was powerful.
Yeah. So what's really interesting, I mean, a lot of us are shifting to work from home, right? Like, over the last year, a lot of people are working from home. It's it's kind of old hat for us. Like, we're just like, oh yeah, like it's catching on, right? But what was a really interesting statistic that I recently learned was 60% of Americans will be working independently by 2027. So in 6 years, I want you to think about this, 60% of Americans will be working independently, which means they'll be working from home or working as a contract worker or working for themselves. Now, that is a massive shift in what we are doing now. A massive shift over the next 6 years, because people are retooling differently. They're learning, they're not going to university and sitting in a classroom. Instead, they're learning from people that are out there doing the work, making it happen, becoming successful. They're like in the school of hard knocks because they're failing forward. And they're hiring people that are very pointed in what they're teaching, because they don't want all the fluff. They want to know what you did to get from A to B. And when you can teach them that and allow them to apply it, you don't need to take 6 years at university or 4 years at university or 2 years at a college. You literally can create movement in a business within a few months.
Yeah, the universe loves speed, right? And when we take action, and it doesn't have to take years. It does. And I'm watching, I mean, this last year, and Christina, I'm sure you did too, saw in certain industries, they had, I mean, banner months, banner year, banner days.
Yeah, we did.
It was, I mean, just absolutely incredible. But because they took action, instead of sitting back, I mean, for many of us, we were used to the technology. We were used to working from home. And so we had a leg up, right, to just zoom forward. But we're also willing to help others. Like there's room. And you said 60%, there is room. There's no, somebody had said, oh, online learning and education learning, they had said this like several months ago, it's going to die. I'm like, oh, no, darling.
It's just beginning. Darling. It is just beginning.
Yeah. There are so many people that need our help, that are looking for help, that are transitioning and want to fast track it. And it's our scars, right? It's our bruised knees from falling down that is going to impact them the most. It's the stories of what we tried, but that we got back up, more than, hey, we just opened this door, we had success. They need to know, like, our failures, our triumphs, how our obstacles became our motivators.
some of those things that are the hardest things that you've gone through are the things that make you who you are. And you might, like, at the time want to run away and hide and, you know, get into your bed and pull your covers up over your head. But those are the things that change who you are and allow you to move forward differently, right? And I think that there's two different types of people right now. There are people that are sitting back and waiting to see what happens. There's this weird anxiety that's going on because there's so much uncertainty. And we've never had such a complex problem in the world. And so, because it's not just one thing, it's like a million things, right? And so it's really interesting because there are people that are sitting back and being like, okay, what's the government? I see that they just signed off on the, you guys get, like, we have CERB up here. So they gave us like checks, mail outs, right?
Yeah, we have a stimulus. Yeah, the stimulus.
Right. So they just signed. So there's people waiting for that. And then there's people on the other side thinking, how do I get ahead of this? And how do I create my own stimulus check? How do I make myself resilient? How, you know, and so there's two sides to this coin. And this is really important because what's happening over here, we're having a massive shift in wealth distribution right now, massive shift. And so what side of the coin do you want to be on? The side that you're being controlled by how much money you're given, or the side where you're creating your own income?
Okay, so Christina, I think that is a great jumping point, right? Like, we've kind of set the stage. You had a thriving career. You were a success. And there are a lot of people who went into 2020, like, perfect vision, 2020. Like, they had this great vision that, you know, we were just like on fire. This is where we're going. And of course, the bottom fell out. And so whether it was by choice from a health issue, family choice, or just what 2020 did to you, at some point, like, there's a shift and you have to assess which side of the coin do I want to be on. Well, we know what side you chose. So tell us how this, like, how this all panned out for you, and what steps did you take to jump over the fence?
You know, it's so funny because when you are between a rock and a hard place and you're staring into the face of your baby, you're really, really willing to do anything, right? There's a time and place where, you know, we do things for two reasons, pleasure or pain, right? A lot of people are motivated by pain or lack of pain. So they'll make a decision so that it's less painful in their life, right? And so most people get to a point and they're like, now what? And so I was at that now what phase, and I'd seen a girl that was posting online and she was a house cleaner. And I was like, this girl's a house cleaner and she's making 5 figures a month. Are you kidding me? And she'd only been in the business for a year. And I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. And so I got involved. I was like, you know what? I got a baby. And it's so funny now because my mother-in-law says all the time, she's like, how the heck did you build a 6-figure business within a year when you had a baby? I was like, well, I was breastfeeding. What else was I going to do all day? I had my phone and breastfeeding. I'm like,
It's actually easier, right? Because the baby's right here, right?
It's so easy. Yeah, exactly. And like, they sleep all the time. Like, I don't know. It was great. And so, you know, it was really interesting over that year because very quickly I realized what I had my hands on. So many people get in to a business and they dabble. They dabble because of their confidence level or because they're not sure. And like, granted, I didn't have any skill set. I didn't have any education, and I didn't have any experience. But like you said, with everything is figure outable, I knew that my ability, I could figure it out, right? I could totally figure it out. And so I got in, I did everything that they told me to do. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And so a month goes by and I've made a couple of $1,000s. And I say to my husband, hey, like, if I made $5,000 a month, would I have to go back to work? and so like we started like, let's make a deal, right? And so he's like, yeah, sure. Well, I worked really hard. I learned so many skills. I poured into my education because look, people think that this is going to come easily to people, and it isn't. It's just like people go to university for four years to get a $30,000 to $60,000 job a year. Here, you can learn the skill set and speed up time while you're making money. And so I recognized that because I was not a school person. And I was like, I'm willing to learn the skills and make money at the same time. So within a year, I was able to close down my salon and be at home. Actually, within 6 months, I was able to close down my salon and be at home full time with my baby. And within a year, I brought my husband home. And what's important about that is that my husband was a career bartender. He managed like the best rock and roll bar in the city. It was so fun, but different chapters of life, right? And so we had this baby, and he was working till 2:30 in the morning, 5 nights a week. We had lived 8 years like that we didn't go to bed together 5 nights a week. And so at a year, he was able to come home, and we traded our life in the city for our dream life in the country. We've bought 10 acres. We have our dream
Mm.
home. We get to create multiple streams of income out here. And I never thought we'd be able to live like we're retired in our 30s. But I'll tell you, the difference is that I recognized it as a business opportunity instead of a hobby. I recognize that, right? So number one, I recognize it as a legit business opportunity that, by the way, I had no ceiling, because at a previous salon job, the reason that I had my own salon is because I worked my way up in the salon. I brought in just like, you had to fill your audience in that radio spot. I had to fill my clientele. And so I had to work my way up in the salon. And when I'd done that, I got to a place that the manager said, well, I can't give you a bigger pay raise, even though you've got a clientele and you've got the skills and whatever, because the person above you has been in the business 11 years and you've only been in the business 5. And I was like, what does that matter? They just slack. Like, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
And so
they're not ambitious. Doesn't mean I shouldn't be. And now they're setting the pace, right?
That's
and
right.
Nobody can be in front of them.
What?
But, Christina, I think a lot of times if somebody's going to build a business from home, right, no matter what, like using technology and using that, because maybe there's a low barrier to entry, right? There's a low cost to get involved. You tend to treat it like a hobby. There's no boss giving you, a punch card. You dictate your schedule. And truly, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're, no matter what, it's all commission, either the commission of the team we bring in or ourselves. And so somebody's got to go to work, and you try it for a little while, but even any business, I've seen small businesses. I tried it for 3 hours, right? It didn't work. I'm giving up. Like this, you are in it for the long run. I have to tell my clients, like, it is not a short-term commitment. You are building, and the momentum and the consistency. You've just got to really fall in love with showing up for work as you are building it. I think the dream life comes, but not before you build it. And you've got to show up for work every day, or 5 days a week, or however many days is your schedule. And so if you treat it like a hobby, you're going to get hobby results, just hands down.
Well, I think that the difficult part is if they've never been an entrepreneur before, I'll give you an example. So as an employee mindset, you've negotiated a dollar amount for your time or a salary. So you work 2 weeks, you get paid. You work 2 weeks, you get paid. This is the stability that people love. But in that situation, you're negotiating maybe $1 raise every couple of years or a $2 raise every couple of years, right? And you're fighting people for it.
Do you remember like being in that space now when you that was so the thing, like I got $1 an hour raise, like for $2, like, and now you look back and you're like, how did anybody in the world convince us that was a thing that we should be shooting for?
When inflation is like massive and like we can't keep up to that. So it's so because we went to university or we went to school and we were taught to be employees. And so the difference with entrepreneurs is they have a different mindset. What they know is they're going to work, get paid a little bit. Work, get paid a little bit. Work, get paid. Work, get paid. And then something interesting happens. Work, get paid. 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 Get paid, get paid, get paid, get paid for the rest of your life. So that's the difference, is that the entrepreneur mindset realizes that, we're going to have to dig in. We're going to have to do the work when we don't get paid for it. We're going to have to work like we're at the next level already. We're going to have to bring our A game and hone our skills every day and work on ourselves. No, we're not getting paid for it, but we're going to get better. And when they get to that level, they get paid exponentially more. Right. And so that's the leverage that you won't get as an employee. And that's something that people are realizing right now they're not in control of. And so that's why I get so excited and lit up when I get to talk to people about entrepreneurship and starting their own business. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to change everything for you.
Okay, so you've been working on something new. You're launching something new, right, Christina?
Yeah. So I've been working on a few things. I this past year has been so interesting, like working on social media. You get, introduced to interesting people, and, Tina reached out with this show and I just thought, this is so cool. So I've had a couple of people reach out, and I've had a couple of books come out this year, and I've got one coming out in the spring, which is, by the way, I teamed up with Jordan Adler for Momentum Makers. So I wrote a
Nice.
chapter in this book on team building and leadership. But right now,
Nice.
what I'm so excited about is that I'm in the process of launching a six-figure mastermind. So what that means is I'm launching our rise to profit. Okay. And so what I'm doing
Mm,
is I'm taking people that are frustrated with slow growth and their business, and they're so frustrated that people join and they don't do anything, right?
mhm, mhm,
Or there's no buy-in from your team and you feel like you're the only person working, you're having a hard time enrolling people and overcoming objections. So I'm taking those people and I'm working with them for a year, and I'm giving them the 12 pillars of building a six-figure business. Because I actually, that previous company that I ended up being a top earner at, I left a year ago and went somewhere else because I wasn't in alignment with where the company was going. And so
mm,
I walked away from a multiple six-figure business, which people thought I was insane, to start building somewhere else. And I've been able to bring that business to six figures within a year.
mhm.
So I want to teach people how to do that because it's
Yeah.
possible within a year. And so that's what I'm working on right now. And I'm just so excited to launch that for March.
In March. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, right. I mean, this is an amazing story. It's a beautiful story of inspiration, of just possibility and hope and encouragement. Is it a national? I mean, is it global? Where are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who is this mastermind for?
So this is for people that are already in the industry, that are a little bit frustrated with where they are. It is
Mhm,
international. You can be anywhere. I've got an international team, so I work with people all over the
mhm,
world. It'll be something that you get plugged into, and when you leave, you'll have a plan of action. You'll have a duplicatable system that is like a daily plug and play. You'll have the thing that you need to do every single day to make you money, because a lot of the time people focus on the wrong thing that isn't making them
mhm,
money, and you'll have clarity on what to do to grow. Because I think a lot of
mhm,
times we lack clarity, and that's why we don't take action. We end
mhm,
up in purgatory where we're not sure what to do. So if people are interested in that at all, they're more than welcome to DM me, grow on my social media platform. So either on Facebook or on Instagram, which is the Christina
mhm.
Whiteley, Whiteley with a Ley. And I'm also going to do a little free giveaway. I think I'm going to, if you DM me grow in the next week, I'm going to, because I don't know how long people will be watching the replay, so I'm going to give it a week from
Okay.
now. But if you DM me grow in the next week, not only am I going to give you a handout that is the 5 things I wish I knew before I started my business. So I'll give you that free handout. You're going to want that. And then the other thing is I'm going to give away a 30-minute coaching call. So if people want,
Mm.
they'll be entered to win when they send grow to my social media pages.
Okay, so the Christina Whiteley sent
Yeah.
her a DM with the word grow. You're going to give them the free document, all the things that you wish you would have known before you started.
Yeah.
Plus, you'll be entered into a drawing for that 30-minute free coaching call.
That's right. You got it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Making sure I didn't bring anything out to write with. I'm sitting out on my patio. They left us, the previous homeowners, some aged, it's seen some years patio furniture, right? But it's better than
Thanks.
nothing. It's better than nothing. And so I didn't bring out anything to write with, but I am the outside. Christina, I think this is lovely. I'm so excited. Tina does all of the booking and scheduling for the guests here on Angel and Tina Morning Show. She is our online relationship builder. She's always online. She's always connecting. She's just incredible. She's incredible at it, which is fabulous, because I pretty much turn off the show and I'm like, oh, that's right, I should post something on social media once in a while. Yeah, she's like, but we each have our skill sets that we bring to the table, and so it's been fabulous. Yeah, you have just been great. Is there anything else that we want to share that you're like, oh my gosh, I get to be, and I want to make sure I cover this. I want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to share all your juicy goodness with our audience today.
You know, one of the things, I thank you so much for giving me that opportunity. One of the things that I really want to get across to people is that so often as women, we count ourselves out. We have these self-sabotaging messages in our head. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
a wife. I'm just a college dropout. I'm just a mom. How could I possibly do this? And our brain is working against us, and it's actually made to do that. It's made to keep our bodies safe, but it also lies to us. It also tells us things that aren't necessarily true. And so what I want to expose is that a lot of us have been raised in an environment where right and wrong. We want to be good. We want to do the right thing. We want to achieve. And when we make a mistake, it's bad, right? We were raised as kids that way. And then the other thing is, a lot of the other like portion of this, which this is where people really struggle in their business with mindset, is when you're from a family or like of the generation. I'll just give this example, like, stop your crying or I'll give you something to cry about, right? Like that was that, right? And so we were scared to make mistakes. And this is not something that I want to raise my daughter with. Look, you either win or you learn. The only way that you lose is if you don't learn. And so a lot of the times we beat ourselves up when we have these self-limiting beliefs from when we were kids, thinking I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. We talk ourselves out of it. And when you recognize that those are self-limiting beliefs from your childhood, you can start to recognize them in your life and start to recognize the things that trigger you so that you can overcome that. And instead of, we lie to ourselves and say, oh, I just want to get it perfect. I just want to do it perfect. That's procrastination. That's like, a wolf in sheep's clothing. And we need to get to the place where you're doing it anyways and you're doing it messy, because I'll tell you the difference between the people that are struggling in this business and the people that are successful are the people that have struggled and failed more than the people that haven't. That's the difference between the 6 and 7 figure earners, is that those people have failed forward faster. And now they don't fear that. They don't fear making mistakes or saying the wrong things in conversations or posting something that maybe wasn't in alignment the next year. They don't care about those things. They just care about doing and talking to as many people as possible, because what did I say before? 60% of people will be independently working by 2027. So like, make sure that you're the person that's giving them an option. You're the person that's having that conversation instead of somebody else.
Beautifully said, Christina. Well, it's been fabulous having you as our guest on the show this morning. You've been a dynamite guest. And for those that have been watching, of course, Tina isn't feeling well today, but we will have her back in the studio just as soon as possible. I'm Angel Tussey. I am your media matchmaker. If you are looking for more exposure for your business, your book, or your brand, grab my complimentary starter guide at makeyourbigimpact.com. That's makeyourbigimpact.com. And put February 24th on your calendar. Our very first Connect Summit for 2021 is coming up. You can grab your complimentary tickets when you go to, well, it's on Eventbrite. We'll have to put the link there, but it is the Connect Summit. You can go to the Connect Summit community online, February 24th from 2 to 7 p.m. Make sure that you join us there and grab Tina's book, Beyond Gratitude, for sale online at Amazon for only $5. And text the word connection to 26786, and you'll get Tina's gratitude guide as well. Christina, it's been a fabulous time having you on the show with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me here today, Angel.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.